because the gospel begins with the first table of the law of God. They don't want to worship God. They don't want to have anything to do with God. What they want to have to do with is their God, their false God. You see, in the everlasting gospel, we have it preached to all the world before the world of fallen man, fallen spirits, by an angel who flew in the midst of heaven, that is, not in the upper heaven, nor in the world below, but in the middle, to all men and women around the world. This is why the law of God is settled in every heart and every person knows. Romans 2:15, what they are obliged to do by the law of God, to honour God and to worship God. And he had a loud voice. In Revelation chapter 14 verse 7, we read of that voice of the angel that flew around the midst of heaven, crying, "Fear God and give glory to him." Give glory to him. That's what we do in the everlasting gospel, verse 6. We stand up and we preach the everlasting gospel of law and of grace. We challenge the world and we put before the world the law of God. Because the law of God is not only good for society to follow and to obey, it is commanded that this gospel of law and of grace is to be preached, not to be rejected by Neo-Evangelicals who've put their commitments and still hate God, spit in the face of Christ, slap him in the face. Desperate people they are. They refuse to have the law of God, to honour God by the people of the nations. They will take away the law of God, just like papists do. They will not make manifest the morals and ethics laid down in the law of God. They will take it away. And then they will turn around and say, look at the immorality of the nations. Yes, and you have promoted it with your commitments and abandonment of the law of God. And of course the law of God is secondary, as it is the schoolmaster that brings us to Christ. Commitments don't. Commitments go down into hell. We need a return to gospel preaching. Not entertaining men, not pleasing men, that's false gospel. The gospel of law and of grace. And when in this day and age, because of all the lawlessness, grace should be omitted, until the nations feel the full force of the law of God and they cry out, what shall we do to be saved? And then we come along with grace, from Moses to Christ. But will the end time prophets that infest society, our pulpits and our streets do this? No. I have found this time and time and time again. Virtually with them with their hands around my neck. Still, we go on pulling these persons up and telling them to get right with God and to preach the law of God, for sin and for righteousness and the judgment to come, and then at some stage mercy. Amen.